Welcome everybody from my side. I'm Andrzej Adamczyk. I'm representing ITTI, the technology partner in the project. And I'd like to tell you a few words on the application, on the inside of the application. We're talking about the logical, and now I'm going to say a little bit about the implementation of these ideas. Okay, so generally the aim of the application is named, of course, EERAdata Decision Support Tool. It should help municipalities and regions to assess the multiple benefits that arise through energy efficiency measures applied on single buildings. So this is the main idea. And this is based, of course, on the data that you have heard about and the algorithms, the calculations that you have heard also during the description of the calculation of processing modules. What I would like to show you now is the diagram, the functional idea diagram of the application. And here maybe let's start from the center. In the center we have the calculation, because the calculation is a fulcrum of our application. We calculate to get the information, like for instance the benefits of the building renovation of any kind of change. And this calculation is based on four factors, let's say. So first factor are the algorithms. This is the logic, what kind of calculation is going to be done in the application. Of course, we need also the data, and the data are represented by the global properties and building properties. Global properties are the general ones, which are not related to the specific buildings. And of course, we need also the information about the specific buildings for the calculations. And last but not least, we need also what we call renovation measures. These are the actions that can be undertaken during the renovation of the building, and that change the values, the properties of the building. And these four measures defined gives us an opportunity to build so what we call the renovation project. And the renovation project is a structure, logical structure for making these calculations and deriving the benefits. So I will talk a few words on each of these factors one by one. So the first, I mentioned the algorithms. These are the logic of the application. It is not defined by a user. It is inherent feature of the application, because it is hard coded in the application. At the moment, in the project, we are going to implement 5 such kind of calculation units or modules. We have energy demand, life cycle assessment, indoor climate, socio-economic assessment, and supply side assessment. That's what you've heard already. At the moment, in the beta version, we have first three already implemented. The others 2 are going to be available in a short time. And now, having these algorithms, we need the data. A part of this data, as I said, are global properties. For instance, some features of the technologies that are going to be used for renovation. They might be also some climate elements. Any data that are not related to the specific buildings, just related more to the economic factors or the conditions in the specific region. The others are building specific information like a building size, for instance, year of construction, the surface area, etc. And global properties as well as building properties are rather complex. There are a lot of elements of, they have a lot of elements. That's why a part of inputting it into the application, which is also possible, we implemented the importing mechanism, and this importing mechanism lets a user, of course, experienced user, more experienced users, to import the data from the external data sheets into the system, of course, in the standardized form, but that's another thing. Okay, so we can import the data. And finally, we need, we have to specify what kind of properties will change as the result of the renovation, and this is defined by the renovation measures. A basic user does not have to know all the changes of all parameters. It can use predefined renovation measures, for instance, the insulation of the building, the exchange of the windows, or modernization of the heating system, or anything like that. And this is already parameterized. Of course, it can be parameterized also in the application by the more advanced users. And finally, if we have all these four factors, we can perform the calculation. Basing on these elements, we can acquire the benefits and also side effects, or all the changes that are after, that can be seen after the renovation process. I would like to show you an example, and this example will be an installation of office buildings. It is based on of course, such properties of the building as the external wall surface, because it will be an installation of the walls, the windows surface, etc. It will use the algorithm of energy demand module assessment, and it will and this will, of course, have an effect on the thermal transmittance of walls and windows. But as I said, we have already defined renovation measures, which are external wall insulation and windows modernization, that has all these changes defined, and a user can only choose the renovation measure he or she wants to use. The results, the outcome that we are going to achieve is an annual heating demand. And I would like to show you the 10 minutes movie that shows you how it is done in the application. I hope that the sound will be hearable. If not, just let me know. I will switch it now. Just a moment. Just a moment. Where it is? Yes, I agree. And here it goes.
Let's assume that we have several office buildings in the middle of the city. They were built more than 40 years ago. Due to the fact they do not withstand the current thermal insulation standards, the current energy demand is much too high. This is the reason why they should undergo the modernization not to waste so much energy. This is going to improve a thermal comfort of the users of these buildings and lower the energy costs of the building's administrators. Before we design and launch the desired renovation, we use EERAdata Decision Support Tool to perform a what-if simulation to estimate the annual energy demand now and after the investment. First, we should create a project and name it, let's say, Office Buildings Insulation. We may add the description explaining the aim of the renovation, for instance, the renovation of the office buildings to ensure the thermal comfort to the users and lower the heating costs. Then we click on the button Save. The newly created project appears on the list. We can edit it by clicking on the edit icon next to its title. In the edit mode, we may change it we need. We have also an access to the following tabs: Buildings, Calculations, Options, and Results. By clicking on the buildings, we move to the windows in which we may add the buildings to the project. We may choose among the buildings which have been. It is important to remember that each building, once added to the project, is copied into it with all its properties, and it becomes independent of the general building stock stored in the database of the application. It means that the calculations are made on the copy of the building's properties and not on its actual parameters that may be a subject of change in time. We use the selection field to specify which buildings should be added to the project. It is useful to type in several letters of the building address or its location. It narrows down the list of candidates. The list does not contain the buildings already added to the project. After selection of the desired buildings, we need to confirm our choice by clicking on the button Assign. Then the selected buildings appear on the list. We may add one or more buildings to a single project. In our case, we add 3 office buildings in Copenhagen. After adding the buildings to the project, we may indicate what kind of calculations should be performed within the project. It depends on what kind of outcome we expect the tool to calculate. For calculation of annual energy demand, we will need to use the energy demand calculation unit. To assign the calculation to the project, we should click on the tab Calculations. We use the selection field to specify which calculations should be done in the project. It is useful to type in several letters of the calculation item title. It narrows down the list of candidates. The list does not contain the calculations already assigned to the project. After selection of the needed calculation item, we need to confirm our choice by clicking on the button Assign. Then the selected calculation appears on the list. We may add one or more calculations to each project. Now we are ready to set up the renovation options. These are the alternatives that are supposed to be later juxtaposed and compared. To manage the project options, we should click on the tab Options. To create each option, we ought to click on the button Create. In the option window, we should input the name of the option and put some description if necessary. So defined option, we should confirm by clicking on the button Save. All added options should appear on the list. In our case, we create 3 different options. Of course, it is not enough to create and describe an option. We should assign the relevant renovation measures to it. The renovation measures may be selected from the ones already defined in the tool. To assign the renovation measure, we should enter the edit mode by clicking on the edit icon next to the name of the option on the list. Then we should click on the tab Measures. We will use 2 renovation measures: external walls insulation and windows exchange. Insulation of the walls diminishes their thermal transmittance to 0.2 watts per square meter Kelvin from the original 0.5 watts per square meter Kelvin. The exchange of windows diminishes their thermal transmittance to 0.9 watts per square meter Kelvin from the original 1.5 watts per square meter Kelvin. Of course, the surface factor in both cases relates to the external walls and windows respectively. We use the selection field to specify which renovation measures should be assigned to the option. It is useful to type in several letters of the name of the measure. It narrows down the list of candidates. The list does not contain the measures already assigned to an option. After the selection of the appropriate measures, we need to confirm our choice by clicking on the button Assign. Then the selected measures appear on the list. We may assign 1 or more measures to each option. Now we are ready to calculate the thermal properties of the building. We are going to do this in case of the baseline option, in case of the option with wall insulation, and finally the one which includes wall insulation as well as window exchange. To do so, we should click on the tab Results. Then we select the building of interest in the drop-down list in the upper part of the window. Then the building's properties appear in the table below. The first columns show the name of the property. Next columns contain the property values in 3 considered cases corresponding to the 3 defined renovation options. Of course, many properties will not be affected either by change of the walls insulation nor by the exchange of windows. As we may see, the property differs in each variant of renovation. We may also generate a plot of these values by selecting the property from the list and clicking on the button Plot. The plot is displayed showing the bar chart of the primary energy demand in each case. This ends the project definition and calculation cycle. We believe it is not too difficult and it should be doable even by unexperienced users. To be able to import building data into the DST or introduce new renovation measures, a user must have an expert privileges. These activities will be demonstrated in the next release of the DST application. Thank you.